baby.
Top of the morning.
Top of the morning. It's actually afternoon. It does not feel like it.
Later than usual.
It is later than usual. Okay. What is up, everybody? Welcome into the DNVR Nuggets Podcast. Presented as always, actually, just the DNVR Nuggets Podcast. Hey. I got the squad at the house, guys. Man, what a busy day. You stay up all late last night. The funniest part of any awesome Nuggets game is just the inability to fall asleep. Complete inability to go to bed afterwards. Just hyped. I think I read every tweet that was sent yesterday. I think I read them all. Every single one. Just scrolling the timeline, seeing the takes. It was a thing of beauty. So today, you get a little rest. You wake up with fresh eyes. I have a feeling today, though, our takes are going to be as drunk as yesterday. It was such a hype thing.
I'm hammered right now.
Hammered on Nuggets hype. But to help me do that, what a panel I've assembled here today. The birthday boy himself. My God, go ahead and cue up that music, Kel. Do you have it ready to go?
No way.
Cue up that music.
Oh, you guys are too much.
30 years old.
The music
It's like we watched him grow up
This feels
right
like a
before
short
our
jump.
eyes, doesn't it, guys?
You're 30?
This is appropriate music. In
Welcome to hell.
Like it's a birthday and it should happen inside of a crib.
Just for
Yeah.
context, how long
30
we've been,
going on 3.
just how long we've been doing this together. Remember when we used to make fun of me for being like 17?
Yeah,
and doing
I do
this
remember
job?
that. Yep.
It's been a while, fellas.
Known you since you were this big, man.
Oh, now I'm like maybe shorter even.
Oh my God. No, seriously though. Happy birthday. And,
Thanks, fellas.
And technically it was today, but you kind of celebrate. You know, last night led into your birthday. Yoke gave you a little present.
He did.
Michael Porter too.
Michael Porter too. I stayed up writing about the Nuggets because that's exactly what I wanted to do. And then the first thing I did after publishing was retweet this. The Celtics have won one title since the Cold War.
Wait, really?
Fact check that. It's true.
I mean, when did the Cold War really start and end? I feel like that's always kind of up
The Cold
in the
War.
air.
The Cold War sounds like World War II, but it's really in the 80s.
Yeah.
Berlin
There's no
Wall fell.
defined start and finish.
80s, 90s.
It's okay. Also, we're Nuggets fans, but screw it.
Screw it, you know, whatever. You don't
Lob
hate on them.
grenades, yeah.
Honestly though, whose gift did you like better? Porter's or Jokic's?
Well, Jokic, I knew Jokic's would be there. You know what I mean?
He's like your mom who just gives you like $100 on
You're like,
Yeah.
all right, I already spent it.
It's kind of like gifts from mom or dad. You know, mom's got a gift. Dad,
Right.
all right, I'll take it this year. But no, I honestly, I knew it was coming when I was watching Jeopardy earlier in the day. And the clue was, guess what day it is? Mike.
He just knew.
I just knew it was destiny.
Eric has visions. You have Jeopardy.
That's right.
Speaking of visions, over here, the visionary himself, D-Line Co.
That's right. And right now I'm working off of extreme sleep deprivation. So I anticipate I'll be having some waking visions that I don't realize if I'm in a dream or driving.
We're going to get an all-time bad D-Line performance tonight. I can't wait for it.
I slept under 1 hour.
Under 1 hour. Damn. Then over there, the guy who's been absent for most of the playoffs. Not absent, just from the show. It's Harrison Wynn.
I'm still drunk from last night, hammered, just operating off straight vibes at the moment. Just fumes and vibes.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's a great thing to be operating off of, to be honest with you, because the vibes really were so high from this game and really have been from this playoffs. Denver got tested a little bit in 3 and 4 with Booker playing at a level that we all tip our hat. We all have had good things to say about him. But I'm going to start with this one. I mentioned it on the podcast last night just a little bit. First of all, I listened to Hoop Collective today, thinking like, all right,
Why?
it's time. Well, just because, you're driving in. I want to hear, what are other people saying? Are they as hyped? They start the show like this. Look, good reporters there. They have, ESPN has their own agenda
Good
about how they
hedge,
do it.
important,
I'm just trying not to shit on people
Right,
because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
being sincere about this.
Yeah.
They started off by saying, no, I didn't watch this one. But I did look at the box.
Was my guy Tim McMahon on?
No, he wasn't.
He's actually covering
Yeah,
the
he's
series
actually in
Denver,
town. Yeah,
so it
yeah.
would have been good.
We got to
to
get him on. We got to have him. We got to get him on.
My guy Tim.
No, but Wittenhorst, obviously covering some of the other high-profile series. He's like, I didn't see, but looks like Jokic had a good game. He looked like I was
Didn't
like,
watch?
that, and it was like 3 minutes because
You would
nobody
think-
had anything to say.
Bro,
No.
this is like opening day. There's 30 games going.
Yeah.
I didn't watch them all. There's 2.
Yeah, well, to be fair,
No,
And one
guys,
was
I'm just trying to
the
explain
Eastern
the way the
Conference.
world works. I'm not trying to defend them.
No, there's
I'm
no to be
saying
fair here.
Philly Celtics, garners a lot of names and IVs. I will say it is wild that even Kevin
I didn't
Durant
watch
and
it.
Devin Booker, I mean, Jokic, whatever, we're used to the disrespect, but even Kevin Durant and Booker are like, yeah, they don't move the needle.
I mean,
like,
the headline from Nuggets Suns is what happened with Matt Ishbia in Game 4.
Oh.
Like, when people think of Nuggets Suns,
Damn it, you're right.
that is the main storyline.
That's so true.
We should do a new segment where it's just 5 minutes of Harrison Wind having to talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs. Well, I didn't watch this one, but I didn't look at the box score either.
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I'm watching those terrible games. I'm seeing all the games. There's not that goddamn many.
This is the point.
There's 4 total.
This is the point. But they're not watching ours. Is the whole thing. But anyway, the narrative outside has been about Booker, and for good reason. He's been unbelievable. But I genuinely sit back and go, how can anyone look at this series that features Kevin Durant, who, by the way, for most of the year, people said was, well, when we talk about best players, I'm not sure it's not KD. I mean, I know you got
Trash
MVP
day.
candidates, but the top 3 guys. But to me, for my money, it's Kevin Durant. First of all, nothing he can do rest of the way. Like, Jokic already outplayed him so much that even 2 games wouldn't make up for it. But Jokic, to me, is the guy who his worst game in this series, he shot 9 of 20, I think, I think 9 of 20, slightly below 50% for a near triple-double. Jokic in this series, to me, is the most dominant he's been against the best players. Even with Booker having the best games of his life, even with KD there, Jokic stands head and shoulders above the pack. That's my big hangover take.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're right. And so much of this series and playoffs have been about Devin Booker. And it's so funny, like, we had the whole MVP conversation from Game 1 to Game 82 during the regular season. And once the playoffs start, everybody just can't wait to anoint who is the best player in the playoffs. Like,
You're right.
That is the
Game 3
conversation.
and first round we were doing
Jimmy
this.
Butler is clearly the best player in the playoffs.
So true.
Devin Booker is the best player in the playoffs.
Oh, I missed
No,
Wind.
the best player in the playoffs is Nikola Jokic. He's outscoring Devin Booker in this series. Bet you didn't know that.
By 2 points, but yes.
But he is.
Yeah.
And it's just been, another masterclass from Nikola Jokic in the playoffs.
Yeah, man. Where I got the most drunk last night, it wasn't from booze like you would expect. It was from just drinking down all of the back it up tweets of I guess he is pretty good. I can't even, all of these things where you're like, oh, man, what are you supposed to do at this point? Like, you now realize unless you are the most ardent, just contrarian in the world, and that's just your brand, and you just like making people mad, which there's quite a few of those. You don't have you have no leg to stand on that. Like, unless maybe you just didn't, watch the game. You just checked out the
That's the
box
actual
score.
truth, yeah.
Yeah, but people that are now actually watching one of the 2 games on each night, you just watch. You're like, oh no, all of my talking points were wrong. They were all wrong. They're all based on this weird idea of like this caricature, this straw man of Nikola Jokic that is a traffic cone on defense, that is unable to perform in the playoffs, that gets swept out of the first round, can't make it out of the first round. All these things that we've heard forever that you're just like, I don't even know what to say except for you're wrong. And now they see it from themselves and they're like, oh, God damn it. Anyway, I was very drunk off that.
Basketball fandom is like a woefully consequentialist thing, right? Like wins and losses,
Yep.
then we decide. And I think Booker and Jokic are in rare territory here in that they've both been so good. Like, one of these teams is going to lose the series. I still think you look foolish if you're trying to be a hater about either one of those guys. Jokic, to the point you guys are making, is it points, rebounds, and assists? He leads all second-round players in right now.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's honestly, even we almost take him for granted just because we know it's there. And it reminds me a little bit of peak LeBron. Of you look around the other stat lines around the league and you go, look at this guy stepping up. This guy's on an unbelievable tear. We've never seen him play this well. And then you look at LeBron, or in this case, Jokic's averages, and you go, still better than everyone. Right. You know, like he's, and it's not a perimeter player, and it's a perimeter league. So I think maybe something about the loudness of it doesn't translate the way a Booker 50-piece would. But if you watch it every night, like Eric said, at one point you just start laughing to yourself.
Yeah.
And you go, does basketball get easier than this offensively?
Yeah.
30.6 points per game is just so many points. That's the thing is, the difference between a
analysis.
LeBron and say like a Kobe or a Steph. And I'm just want to make this clear. I'm not sure it's necessary about which players are better, full stop, because I think you watch Steph Curry win all these championships. It's hard to say, he's obviously supremely valuable, but those guys, their value is primarily shot making and the gravity that they have. And as a result, they just have games where they're cold. And then you're like, well, they're not nearly as impactful tonight because they're cold. Yoke is so impactful no matter what happens. This is why in the first half I saw on the timeline some people like Yoke's really struggling. Man, he just missed a couple shots, but he was doing
He still had 7 assists.
He still had, but he also still dominates
6 rebounds.
every possession he gets. Exactly. I love Simmons. Another podcast I'm listening to, and we know Simmons has been on the Jokic train for a while. It's like every game he grows more obsessed. It's kind of fun watching somebody gain your addiction.
Dude, it's like
the best.
It's like having
a good way to put it.
It's what I imagine having a child is, and then teaching them about the world. And you're like, here it is.
But
here
don't
it is,
give them your
40
addiction, though. Ideally,
Well, here it is, 40-year-old man. Here's Jokic. Isn't this amazing?
And you watch Simmons like slowly over the years, but even in this playoffs, go from the like, well, I still had so and so MVP and maybe, but this or that, to like, what was I thinking? This guy does everything, everything you want. And my point I was getting to LeBron is obviously one of the, if not the greatest player of all time. And part of what makes him great is we remember all of his bad games because there's so few.
Right.
That it's like, you remember that one time he played bad? Right. It's such a big deal.
So true.
And, last night Booker didn't have a bad game. He missed some shots and it was below average, but it stops there. He did some things well, sets the table, but Yoke is scoring at the same rate while also dominating every other aspect. And what I love about Simmons' commentary is he says, when you watch the Nuggets, they just get what they want every time down, other than when they don't pass to Jokic on rare occasions. But if you play through Jokic, the shot you get is like an A- at worst.
Yep.
And that's the thing about Jokic in the playoffs is he's so engaged that it's just unbelievable when you watch other teams play and how hard it is to score. And you watch Denver and you're like, oh yeah, there's an open shot.
Yeah, for sure. To go back to his stats, he's 6th in points, 2nd in rebounds, 2nd in assists. He's 22nd in minutes per game. Like what?
That's
22nd
incredible.
in minutes per game. 6th in points, 2nd in rebounds, 2nd in assists. I mean, my big takeaway from last night, my hangover take, is that just the power and the ferocity and the fire that Nikola Jokic is playing with right now, it reminds me of how he played in that game against Giannis in Greece and Stark Arena in Serbia, that game we were at last summer. Like, he played with just this power that we have like never seen from him before.
So true.
And as the playoffs have gone on this season, I feel like he's at that level right now.
Totally is.
He's doing whatever he wants out there. And it just reminds me of how I felt watching him in that game. If you watch him every night, I mean, he's just the best player in the world. It's not hard to come to that conclusion because he makes the game easier than anybody. He elevates his teammates more than anybody else in the league. And he's just the best offensive player in the league and maybe of all time. Like that's not crazy to say.
We're so lucky too because we get to do more than just watch. We're around the team to some extent, right? Whatever extent media is. Some doors we don't get to go in. But there's an eerie calmness to Jokic right now that if they get this done, I always think about the little things that the folk who did get to cover championship teams and players sort of picked up on over the years. And there's so much sort of like fighting for your lives out there in the postseason and a lot of fiery quotes, and every competitor's a little different. And I don't think this is necessarily better, but for Jokic, he is so locked in. Like, he's playing at the highest level of anyone, and he's unfazed at the podium. He hasn't impressed himself at all. He is quietly committed to this goal. And like, if they get this done, that's going to be something I talk about in hindsight a lot, is the way that like, if you were just around this guy, you understood he was in control.
Yeah. I also think that I'm projecting now. I'm projecting a lot. But we all feel that Jokic, one of the things we sometimes joke about is like, how much does he actually love basketball? I honestly think he loves basketball. The regular season's just so boring to him. Training camp's so boring to him because it's not competitive. It's not pushing him in any way. It's such a just like a pickup game, all-star game. I just think they don't challenge him. I think the playoffs, he just seems like he has more fun than the regular season when he's in the playoffs because it requires something of him, and he always has it, but it's almost like he enjoys having to tap into it.
Well, it's like a puzzle to him. It's a puzzle that he slowly has to put together and figure out. And we talk all the time about how as a series goes longer and longer, Nikola Jokic figures out his opponent more and more. And, you know, at the beginning of this series, he was hyping up DeAndre Ayton a little bit. Oh, I have a lot of respect for Ayton, which I think he actually does. But, it's going to be fun. You know, it's going to be a fun battle. And, you know, he has just completely neutralized DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton's gotten played off the floor in most of these games. And he is just in complete control. And by now, I mean, tomorrow's game 6 of this series, he has the Suns so figured out. It's like at a point where you feel bad for Phoenix's defense because they just don't have a prayer.
This is what happens. I mean, Jokic had him figured out in game 1, I think. But to your point, figures out more and more.
Yeah.
And when you have a good defender or good defense, if you have a Draymond Green, there's new puzzles to be discovered along the way of a series because they're also adjusting. I don't think that's true of this Suns team. And that's not just to knock on DeAndre Ayton, who I actually think, I mean, he's in a rough spot. He's in a weird moment, but he's not a terrible player. It's just he's not capable of matching Jokic wit to wit.
Yeah.
And right now it's like, okay, I know the few little things you guys can do, and I can read them like that. And that's why, as the series goes on, I just feel even more and more confident about him. And then lastly, knock on wood on this one, I've been raving about Devin Booker's conditioning because it really has stood out. And I think Denver made an impact on him. Jokic's conditioning has been incredible too, man. Jokic, it's the most underrated aspect of Jokic's game is that he's one of the best athletes in terms of endurance or mentally toughness to overcome it of anyone. And I think it's on full display right now, even though nobody's really talking about it.
Especially defensively, where he's had to cover a lot of ground, stay really focused and disciplined. And then we know he's not going to protect the rim, but be disruptive with his hands. Last game we saw that. So I don't want to go away from your point. I think they go hand in hand, conditioning and not nearly enough talk about how good Jokic has been defensively in this series. A series that 98% of analysts before it started would have guessed he would struggle in defensively. He is so far from Denver's weak link. At times, he's been a huge plus, particularly in the Denver games. So obviously, we talk about him in offensive terms because he is one of the very best to ever do it. But we almost do him a disservice with that framing because defensively, he has been, more than passable in a series with obscene firepower.
Yeah. And the thing that has been said about Jokic for the last 2 years, which people use to actually try to elevate, but actually knocks down what he's doing is like, oh, the best availability is availability. He's out there, so you got to recognize that. But like it's not really acknowledged how insanely durable he is, how many minutes he plays, how he's not just like standing still in the corner and just like catching his breath. It is insane when you like really take a second to look and appreciate at what Jokic never looks tired ever. And he never, knock on wood, like misses games, because he's just built like a goddamn live oak, and somehow he has the ability to just never stop moving. There's just so many things about Jokic that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Like you would expect somebody
because we've never seen a player
he just
like
looks
him
like he's
before.
lumbering.
And never will again.
You expect it's like tired to go along with it. Not the case.
The joy though for Jokic, and he deserves it because when you're this level of player, the best in the NBA, every minor failure should be like, okay, we need to recontextualize. The beauty of Jokic is he's been the best player in the NBA. Full stop. I'm sorry, you can argue Jimmy Butler, argue Devin Booker. You guys can have your arguments. You're wrong, but Jokic's been the best player. If he trips up in game 6 or in the next round or something, like it still all goes for naught. So that's the level he's at. Yeah. Where the standard for him is best player, outplay every single person, and you know what? I kind of like it. There's a level of respect to giving a guy, no matter if you were awesome 10 games in a row. If the 11th one's bad, we're gonna judge you for it.
Yeah. And he's one win away from having more Western Conference Finals appearances than first round losses.
Oh. I'm so ready. Let's take a quick break. On the other side, another guy whose reputation, I'm scrolling the timeline last night, reputation through the roof.
Me?
The Bragenda Zone, Michael Porter Jr.
You're on Brendan's page.
Brendan's
I was just scrolling his timeline.
guys, Athletic
quite a
Greens.
People are loving Michael Porter right now.
Athletic Greens is a product I use literally every day. I started taking Athletic Greens because I
Did you
wanted
do it today?
better gut health. Of course I did today,
All right, just
man.
making
Come
sure.
on. Come on. Why do you can't, don't even ask me that.
Don't even ask.
More energy, optimized immune system. I get that all with Athletic Greens. With one scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. Lifestyle friendly, no matter what diet you're using. Athletic Greens, it works with that. Gluten-free, vegan, paleo, keto, whatever you're doing, Athletic Greens works. So it's time to reclaim your health. Arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Athletic Greens is just one scoop in a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and vitamins and supplements to look out for your health. athleticgreens.com/nuggets, athleticgreens.com/nuggets to take ownership over your health. Pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens is also going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. athleticgreens.com/nuggets. Also, FuboTV.com/DNVR. Stream 140 plus live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. Stream it from any device as well. Phone, laptop, TV, whatever you need. Start watching immediately. Go to FuboTV.com/DNVR. Hit that QR code right there on the screen. Sign up. Boom. You're going with Fubo. No contract, no cable. You get 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra cost as well. Watch your local teams, Nuggets playoff games, golf, tennis, F1. Woo. Watch Nuggets Navs playoff run on ABC with Fubo TV. Go to FuboTV.com/DNVR, FuboTV.com/DNVR to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. So you get even more than everything I just said with Fubo Pro. FuboTV.com/DNVR.
All right, there you go. Segment 2, DNVR Nuggets Podcast. I'm telling you, tomorrow, away game, though, Thursday night, DNVR Bar. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I just think it's going to be a great atmosphere. We've had a Friday game, and atmosphere was unbelievable. We've had a Saturday game, atmosphere unbelievable. This one, Thursday, so people might have to work, whatever. Dude, call in a little sick. Be like, I'm not
work.
Call in. Don't
Leave
call
early.
Don't call in sick. Call in with like a flat tire because that allows you like to be late.
I know.
Also, you know what I mean? But you just show up.
But like also non shouts to the Nuggets who lose on the weekend and win on the weekdays. Not cool, Nuggets. Not cool.
For these road games, what would you say? Like 90 minutes before, an hour before to like guarantee a good seat?
90 minutes. I mean, it hasn't been as packed, honestly, I feel, as years past. Maybe in part because it has been a lot of very late weekday games. That might be a bit of it. Yeah. Weekends, obviously, have been unbelievable. But Thursday night, a chance to exercise demons. Again, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. It's going to be a dogfight. We'll talk about it. But, man, if they win on Thursday, it's going to be a party here at DNVR.
Yep.
You're going to want to be here.
Okay, you're going to want to be here. Rakia, by the way, set to... We're restocked tomorrow
Hell
at the DNVR Bar. Can't wait. Let's talk about Michael Porter Jr. Another guy that I'm scrolling the timeline and it's just nothing but praise. But here's where the praise is most interesting to me. His defense has not just been passable. He hasn't just been like a guy that they're not targeting because it's not useful. He's kind of a plus defender.
Oh, it's
he
not
gets,
kind of.
He gets switched out on a Devin Booker, and I sit there and I go, oh, good. Thank God. Perfect. Yeah. Instead of one of those little guys like Bruce or KCP, as good as they are, I'm kind of like, I like Booker. I like Michael Porter out there. Vogt, your theory that maybe he's always been a decent defender. He just can't move because of his back. Knock on wood, his back's been a little healthy, and here he is looking like a great defensive player.
No doubt. And then there's the communication aspect of it, getting yourself up to speed defensively, mentally, which you just can't do. Like, you can listen to everyone, watch the film, talk to the coaches, but at the NBA level, I think you got to be out there, right? To train yourself for that level of processing and how quickly it all happens. So he did need time on the floor. He has learned how to use his length. He's talked about that. This molding into a better defender is a conscious effort. It's intentional. It's calculated. And I think he's been arguably their best one-on-one defender on Booker. We have not... I mean that. One-on-one.
I wonder what the statistics say. First of all, he hasn't guarded him a lot. But he might be right.
Maybe,
Statistically,
yeah.
man.
That's
Like,
crazy.
he
Maybe.
hasn't burned Porter.
No, he hasn't. Now, granted, Porter is not picking him up for 4 quarters the way Pope is.
Also, it's the lowest bar to clear. He's not missing shots. So if he misses one, you're like, he's the best defender.
It's a specific thing that I'm trying to say, but
Yeah.
I bring it up because last time he played this team in the playoffs, it was like, man, every time, no matter who has the ball, pick and roll, let's find Mike, let's attack him, let's get him on an island. That has not been a factor in either round of these playoffs. Ayton takes himself out of the game. Porter's been there, man. Those rotations are good. He's not as strong as Ayton, but he's tall. And I think 3 times now in this series, he's read that pass to the free throw line and just been there first, stripped it away. This guy's learning. He's been smarter, and he looks more athletic defensively. I think he's been one of their better defenders in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, and you kind of hit on it, Vogt, we just haven't talked about him being the target at all in these playoffs.
The pigeon.
Yeah. Oh,
as they kept saying. Over
they're
and over.
going to switch Michael Porter on
Right.
to Devin
This used to be
Booker
true.
and Kevin Durant every play. Yeah, totally. But it hasn't been the case, and we haven't talked about it because he's not that weak link anymore. And you got to give him all the credit. Like, he should have improved as a defender, and he absolutely has. Yeah. So I've been really impressed. Like, he has leveled up defensively, and you got to give him all the credit.
Yeah, I mean, it's all of Michael Porter Jr.'s elevation is just a combination of body feeling healthy, athleticism returning, and maturity, finding his place in this offense, in this ecosystem, learning how to communicate, learning what his teammates expect of him. All of these things, like we went through like this stage of like petulant Michael Porter Jr., calling out, not getting the ball enough. We've gone through injured Michael Porter Jr. We've gone through all of these things where there's just with the thing with MPJ is it's like so obvious when you look at him. It's like he's just built like a Greek god. Right? You're like
with a bad back.
Yeah, you're like, well, like Achilles had a bad
Achilles back. Yeah.
Yeah, but you just look at him and it's like looking at Michael Phelps. You're like, I bet that guy's a good swimmer. Like you look at Michael Porter Jr. I'm like, I bet that guy's good at basketball. And then somehow he's also the most accurate shooter I've ever seen.
Such a good tape.
But it's like he just has had all of these things. You always look at. You're like, God, if only.
Yeah.
It's always just like if only with Mike. And like now it's like, God damn. There's just all these things with this team in general that we've been waiting for. Jamal to return, Mike to figure it out, defensively for them to learn how to turn it on and apply the requisite amount of energy that they just wouldn't all season. All this stuff that we're like, man, I know this stuff is here, is all finally coming to roost, like a pigeon.
Like a pigeon coming home.
There
to
is
roost.
this tweet from Blue Arrow Collector, shout out, where he said that last MPJ shot was the cleanest swish sound I've ever heard. And he posted it, and it really was. Like, you should find that. Blue Arrow Collector. Like, that shit got me going. That got me excited.
Well, first, Cal, as you're looking for that, guys, we got to take a timeout. We need a hot box and hot take for a second. We need a hot box and hot take.
Cal,
You already did
take
the
the stream
MPJ
down.
segment.
No, yeah, but no, it's on MPJ.
Okay, cool.
We just now. We were being pragmatic. We were being realistic. This is time to hot box and hot take it a little bit. Michael Porter Jr. is averaging 14.9 points per game in this series, a low number, or in the playoffs, a very low number, and it's because his lows. He was on a little bit of a streak here in this series in particular, where wasn't getting a lot of shots and the rhythm was a little disrupted. I don't love that part. He's shooting 48% from the field, 42.5% from three on 6.5 attempts, which, given that he's only taken 12 shots a game, it's pretty impressive that, and then he's rebounded well, 8 rebounds. I don't know why the Nuggets haven't worked him more into the offense. If you were to ask me, gun to my head, why haven't they? I would say it's probably because Michael Malone he doesn't think about offense. He's told us that. They don't really, their offense, they just roll out the ball.
Yeah, it's like, Jokic called this play.
Yeah, then Murray Jokic is good enough. We don't need anything else. But I think there might be a little something to Porter hasn't been healthy in the offseason for a couple years now. And I don't know how much Denver wanted to build something around him, knowing that, hey, man, he hasn't really finished seasons. And let's just kind of go it. Now, obviously, this year, he's been able to stay on the court for most of the season. I kind of think this might be the worst Mike we get.
You would think.
If he's healthy.
He's 23.
Well, he is 23. So, of course, there's room for growth. But what I mean is, Denver can work him into their offense very, very easily in a natural way. And that natural way is running him more off screen. It's funny that part of what happened in this game is they were like, Mike, don't let Booker just sit on defense, move a little bit more off ball. They talked after the game about shortcutting more so that Booker had to follow the cut. Not that it's like getting open, but just so Booker has to follow and trail and run around. But also running him off of a Jokic handoff and having him elevate and then decide whether or not to shoot it. If the defense jumps out, drop it to Jokic, who's now suddenly open. To me, Denver has a very easy, simple way to work him into their offense in an offseason, like going into next year, that would open up their game so much more. And while I think it's probably more about Malone's just like stubbornness or this or that, I do hope that there's a world where they win it this year and then come back next year with yeah, but we weren't actually fully unlocked just yet. Now we are. Now we've got the full Porter.
Now we're
saving
full
it.
2013
Well,
Spurs.
yeah, Jokic 31, Murray 26 a game, Porter 15. He's, in my opinion, much closer to Murray than he is to Aaron Gordon in terms of the impact he can make as a scorer.
Well, the biggest way to unlock Mike more, it comes at the not the expense. That's the wrong word, but it's on Jamal Murray to unlock Mike more. I think.
Yeah.
So much of the Nuggets offense is the Jokic-Murray two-man game, and that's the biggest reason why Mike doesn't get more touches. It's because that is the core of the Nuggets offense. It's Jokic operating into the Jokic-Murray two-man game.
Yeah.
And if Denver shifts more towards Jokic ball, less usage for Jamal Murray, less shots for Jamal Murray, that is the way I think you incorporate MPJ more.
Well, it also just like allowing him to play in the fourth quarter would help him.
I know it is a little weird. That's like the one thing somebody pointed out that I didn't even realize he didn't play in the
27 minutes.
fourth.
Now, he usually comes back for those last 5 minutes
They
that
were
became
garbage,
garbage time. I will say this, though. There is I'm not going to do it because they won, but like you do have to reward the guy a little bit.
I know.
I would have given, I know this, you're going to laugh at me for how dumb this is. I would have given him the defensive player of the game chain in that game. Now,
He was good, yeah.
It's used as a motivational thing more than
it
anything
is.
else. But
There's no cash value.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Malone's clearly doing like coaching stuff with it, and I thought it would have been a good call.
It's all
But,
a head game.
Hey, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but let's do it, right? It's hot box. If he plays this role and they win, one way you can reward him, you spend the offseason integrating him into the offense. And it's not just a thank you. It's now that we've cleaned things up and we've won the title, let's explore the dynasty potential. And does that include unlocking this guy to his fullest potential? And you don't want him to leave either, right? And he's been so committed to this. But I think if he plays this role and you win, at some point you have to look at expanding that role going forward.
He's better than a 15-point per game scorer. He just is. Like Aaron Gordon's at 14, Bruce Brown's at 12. So right now he's closer to those guys, but we know he's not. His scoring is so unbelievable that you got to get it there. And then lastly, I'll throw to you, Harrison, but I really think that the playoffs are where players become better and teams become better. That's why it's so important to go deep in the playoffs and be pushed, because I think you come out the other side stronger. And like this game 5, a lot of it came down to Murray. As great as you are, you have to find the balance between aggression and being a point guard, because the point guard part is just as important right now. And I think he did that in game 5 in a way that I hope, I'm not convinced, but I hope it's just a lesson he doesn't have to relearn in this playoffs. That's like, okay, that's a balance I need to always be conscious of. And if you get that the rest of the way, you're a better team. Maybe there's a chance in this playoffs that it's like, when we always win is when Porter has a Porter quarter. And maybe instead of just waiting to see if one happens, we should try to stimulate one.
By the way, game 6. So Booker, they did a lot of things differently with Booker in that game. We will talk, Pope picking him up full court. Here's the other thing. He had to guard Michael Porter Jr. in that first quarter.
Right.
He had to run around with him. And it's at altitude. He rolls the ankle. And so by the end of that game, at one point, he kind of accidentally, I think, starts to pick up Murray at full court, realizes it's probably not his role at this point in the game, and Murray blows past him. Booker's behind the play, jogging. It is the first time all series we have seen that. And obviously the way they guarded him is a big part. Another big part is you make him run in the first quarter. I think they'd be foolish not to give him the rock and get in quarter 1 of game 6.
Yeah.
Another way that Mike can become a more dangerous scorer is just learning how to dribble. Like, he still can't really dribble.
True.
And we saw that earlier in the series when he had some bad quarters. Some of those turnovers he had, he's just got to get a better handle. And that would really open up more to his game when he's in that 2-man action with Nikola.
I kind of disagree. I mean, I agree that obviously a handle would open up his game, but even if he never gets a handle,
I mean, he just can't really dribble right now.
I know, but I don't think you need to. Again, Klay Thompson had a 60-point game with 12 dribbles, and to me, Michael Porter is in that same mold where you don't necessarily need him to over dribble. You need him to run off the handoff with Jokic and go into a shooting motion. So Jokic's man is like, the defender's trailing the play. I have to jump out and put a hand up on this.
Yeah.
And either he hits it over him, which is what we see from him sometimes, or the thing we don't see is what Draymond does. Draymond sets that screen, hands it off to Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, and immediately rolls. Because if they jump out, you just drop it off, and now you're already halfway into the short roll. Yeah. And to me, yes, a handle would make him better. Like a lot of little skills would make him better. But the skills he has without development, to me, opens up Denver's offense to another layer. When we talk about the series and Murray needs to be a little bit of a better playmakers in game 3 and 4, that's true. But you can also just have Porter creating his own shot in that one action that naturally flows in the game that you have without making any major adjustments. It's like, hey, let's look for this one opportunity because it's there 8 times a game.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, but there's a reason like Klay Thompson doesn't do that every game. Like you need more.
But he doesn't need to do that every game. He is the threat that like counter punches the other threat.
Right.
I'm serious. If you, the point is this: if you ran and started with, instead of starting with a Murray pick and roll, you start with a Michael Porter handoff where he goes into the shooting motion. Either he hits it because that screen worked, the handoff worked, or he hits it to Jokic, and then Jokic rolls, and then to the Murray pick and roll. It's just, you create little micro advantages that lead to a big advantage. And that to me is one, doesn't really take any work. They already know how to do it. They just don't go to it very much. And if it were me, I would be like, hey guys, this is the one action that unlocks all of our other stuff to another degree.
My feeling on this too is that Mike's game currently is pretty heavily predicated on whether or not his shot is falling.
It's entirely predicated on it.
And there's just so much he could do with getting to the rack. He's shown us that he's able to. Like, I just think like when there's a game and it's Mike's not hitting shots, it's like then they kind of go away from him. He shrinks a little bit. Like
Totally.
There's just I just feel like he has so many physical gifts which are not being necessarily utilized or considered as far as just like part of the normal offense that, you know, I think will just sort of naturally come just as to me, it's just like the whole thing comes down to, do Jamal and Jokic fundamentally trust Michael Porter Jr. to be one of the three instead of one of the two? You know, it can the 2-man game become a 3-man game? And a lot of that is just, you know, and you see it. I just think it's like a natural trust thing. Like Jokic feels, we went through whole seasons being like, Jokic won't pass the ball to MPJ. Now we're on Jamal won't pass the ball to MPJ. It's like all these things where, you know, maybe there's some interpersonal stuff that we don't know about, but at a certain point, like when the guy just knocks it down, everything you send his way, you're just like, you don't even question it.
And I think you can still, I mean, both of these points are true is the bottom line, right? Like we talked about not having these full off seasons. The handle, I think, looked better this year at times. It can still get better. But you can also still just call his number as things are. Watch that clip of him dunking on Kevin Durant. It's a DHO, Jokic's out of the handoff. Porter curls, cuts to the rim. First of all, Magic Johnson level pass from Jokic. But guess who Michael Porter Jr. is teammates with? Nikola Jokic. Receives the insane pass and dunks on Kevin Durant and takes his soul. Watch that clip and tell me they can't find more looks for that player.
Yeah.
You can.
Again, the stuff you're talking about, though, the drives, to me, that is more on the win side of he needs to unlock his handle a little bit more, because I do worry that if you scaled up his ball handling, you would probably just...
Well, I just mean like you can go to the basket and Jokic will find you.
But
like,
the thing is, that those passes, he'll find you more when you are drawing the defense out. Like right now, Klay Thompson's gravity is greater than Michael Porter Jr.'s gravity. It shouldn't be. Michael Porter shoots just as well, if not better, and is taller. It should be more. But teams have this sense of Porter's only going to get so many shots, and he doesn't really have the green light to pull up every time off of that. Whereas Klay Thompson has too much of a green light, quite frankly. He takes some really crazy ones.
Sure does.
But I would rather move the scale a little bit more to Mike. But you have to build in that release valve of go into your shooting motion knowing that you can always drop it off to Jokic. And Jokic always knows you're going to go into it right off the handoff and just be ready for the release valve. And to me, that one simple thing will draw the defense out more. So all the shortcuts that he already does will be open 10, 15, 20% more. And we're going to see even more of those dunks because of that. So to me, it's just... You have to constantly have pressure and counter pressure, and I don't think Denver goes to the first part. That dribble handoff, give Mike the opportunity to elevate and decision make from there. I would just love to see it. All right, let's take a break. Let's get to some more things, including we got to look ahead now to Game 6. We did this after Game 2 where we kind of was like, the series, driver's seat, this or that. Yeah. Not over. Not over.
No.
In a good spot, but not over.
Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. If you don't know where to get Breck Brew, check out the Breck Brew beer locator, breckbrew.com. You just put in your zip code. Tells you where to get Breckenridge Brewery, wherever you are. Colorado, one of our neighboring states. Wherever you are, you can get Breck Brew. Also, make sure to check out the Mile High City Golden Ale. It's right there on the screen. Ooh. Beautiful Nuggets can. Great tasting beer as well. Breck Brew is a beer for any occasion. There's no better way to watch a game than having some Breck Brew with you. So go to breckbrew.com, check out the Breck Brew beer locator. And if you're local, stop by the DNVR Bar, corner of Colfax and York. Of course, we have Breckenridge Brewery on tap. Of course.
You guys know what kind of day today is?
It's probably a
hump day,
vanilla porter junior day.
No, this is some
Avalanche
real
Amber?
fall weather, man.
This
Remember
is
the unofficial beer of fall weather?
I would say this is the most spring day.
This is a very springy day. But when you think of spring, you don't think of like the storm as much. This is tornado. We have a tornado warning right now.
No, I know. That's
if we get lifted away.
That's literally only happens in spring.
I'm going to scoot home in that. I can't wait.
Yeah, me too.
Let's go, dude.
IV Nutrition of Wash Park. Check out their Wash Park location. Corner of Alameda and Downing. You've got to go to that location to get this deal. Mention DNVR. Get 50% off your first IV nutritional drip. It's a huge discount. Like, IVs cost a lot because they're legit. They really help you live a healthier life. And this is a big discount. 50% off your first IV nutritional drip at the Wash Park IV Nutrition location, corner Alameda and Downing. Mention DNVR, get 50% off your first drip. Give them a call, 720-259-4404 for more information. They also do wellness blood testing and consultations, intramuscular injections with vitamin formulas, hydration drips, the express lunch drip if you don't have a lot of time. Tons of different options. Mention DNVR at their Wash Park location, corner Alameda and Downing. Get 50% off your first IV drip.
We should do a hangover takes episode there. Just all of us in the zero grav
Mid-drip.
chairs
Dude,
with our mics.
in zero gravity.
Zero grav.
Takes would be so good, I feel like.
So good.
Yeah, imagine our takes with no gravity.
Oh my god, dude.
Unbelievable.
With an IV.
Our takes are held down by gravity,
In your
generally
arm.
speaking.
Yeah.
Man, there's a tornado warning in Divide, Colorado, in the mountains. How weird is that? Can you imagine a mountain tornado? Stay safe, everybody in Divide.
Stay safe. I've seen it. These eyes have seen one.
You've seen a mountain tornado?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Did you live?
I died that day. I was at Boy Scout camp.
You were in Boy Scout camp and saw a tornado?
It's a lot of. There's a lot of.
There's a lot of.
There's a lot of layers to this onion. If you really want to,
Solo
whittle them
camp.
away.
All right. And there it was, huh?
There it was at Camp Ben de la Tour.
This is why you hate camping, huh? You've had nothing but terrible camping experiences with Boy Scouts.
Yeah, it's called being forced to be a Boy Scout and then finding yourself camping in a snow cave. You've been forced to whatever.
I'm so excited for camping
does
season.
sound terrible.
So
My
excited
God.
for camping season, man. It's so close. The Nuggets have won 3 games at home, lost 2 on the road. The 3 games at home have been, I would say, comfortable by playoff standards. Remember when we said there'd be no more comfortable wins? I was wrong. The last game was a comfortable win. We had a little bit of a party throughout the fourth quarter. They've been close on the road. I think there is good reason to sit here and feel really confident. Maybe not overconfident, but I'll go ahead and say it. I think Nuggets win Game 6. I just think they're the better team. I think that they have figured out pressuring Booker, making him work. Just cut down the margins on them in that way. And then offensively, I'm so curious to see if the Suns adjust. I mean, Jokic is in such control. And Ayton feels like he has a foot out the door.
What's the adjustment?
We'll double team Yoke. I mean, it's a last ditch. Like, okay, well, we can't just
Good luck.
Of course, good luck. But again,
Mike hits 8 threes in
well,
the first half.
this is your hope. Okay, they're on the road. We've covered them the same way for 5 games, more or less. What if we mixed it up now, out of the blue, on the road, and dared KCP to make shots and dared Aaron Gordon to make shots? It's not the worst strategy. It's just that, of course, Denver's bread and butter all year has been that. Nonetheless, I just think Denver is the better team. And I feel confident heading into Game 6. I'll go to the most confident guy on the panel, D-Line. Am I being a little too over the top here?
I don't know. I mean, like, I need to see. Nobody's won on not in their home building yet. Like, I don't know. I have to see. Like, truly, like this series has played. Like, the Nuggets have played the best games in the series. Like, they have had the biggest advantage over the Suns. The Suns won. They had a much smaller margin of victory, and victory was not assured until the final buzzer. That's not been the case in Game 5 and 1, and in Game 2 it was close, but it wasn't that close. Anyway, I don't know. Like, I just don't know what to make of it. Like, I need to see. I need to see the role players show up on the road. Like, this is the there's so many talking points you have to hit.
Here's
over
the question,
and over.
though: do you need the role players? And here's why. This is again. It's going to be tough. This is not like an odd 90-10 thing. I'm just saying I have a slight edge to Denver in Game 6. Devin Booker in Game 1 shot 53%. They lost. He shot 48% in Game 2. They lost. He shot 80% in Game 3. They won. He shot 78% in Game 4. They won. Yeah. They shot 42% and they lost. When he shoots below 78%, they lose by 45 points combined in 3 games. When he shoots 78% or better, they win by a combined 6 points in his minutes.
I mean,
this is my point. They got to hold Booker under 60% shoot or 65% shooting.
It seems like a very modest goal that they should be able to accomplish. Just no one's done it. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I'm with you, Eric.
I don't know. Like, I feel very confident. The reason I picked the Nuggets in 7 is because they have home court advantage. Like, I'm hoping that the Suns feel like a little bit of like, what are we supposed to do against the Denver Nuggets? But I also know that, like, there's more Landry Shamits over there. There's more like guys that you're like, Lonnie Walker, really? Like,
but let me put it another way. How many times do you think he shot 70% in the playoffs in the first round?
Oh, I probably
70. We're talking about 78, by the way, at the Nuggets, but we'll just lower it to 70.
I don't know.
One
0?
time. He went 19 of 27 in Game 6. That was so one time. Every other time below that. How many times do you think he did it in the regular season, the entirety of it?
0.
Twice. Twice he did it. And then he did it twice in 2 games in a row. So, again, Devin Booker's great, and he's capable of going for it. I just think the odds so overwhelmingly point in the direction of Booker played the 2 best games of his life, and they eked out a win. But, Wind, you're against this one, so I want to hear it.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets lose Game 6. Yeah. I feel pretty confident in that. I mean, it's just how these series tend to go, I think, with most teams and with Denver. Suns role players are going to play better. I think Denver's bench plays a little worse.
Yep.
I think we have the adjustment talk again coming out of that game, which is a whole nother thing. But, yeah, I mean, I just think Phoenix wins Game 6.
I agree. I'm still in on this role player thing as the swing factor. I don't know if Devin Booker plays as well as he did in 3 and 4, but I would pencil Booker and Durant at home in for enough. I think they'll shoot better at home. I think they'll get the whistle they're looking for.
And I just think naturally Denver takes its foot off the gas a little bit.
And
you can talk about how aggressive you want to play and how physical you want to play again in Game 6. Naturally, you just don't, though.
And you can. It sounds like an oversimplification with the role player thing, right? But that just watch those shots last night, man. Like those Okogie corner threes, like.
Hapless.
Dude, those shots had no chance, and a handful of them will drop in Phoenix. Not necessarily from him, but you get the point. Whereas I think Bruce Brown probably doesn't play quite as well. So, I mean, there's obviously a chance that Denver starters blow theirs out of the water. That's actually a possibility, but I would wager that the role players will probably still decide Game 6. By that same logic, I would be very confident coming back for a Game 7.
Yeah, I do think they'll win next game, though. I think the Nuggets will win. I do. I mean, but you're just asking me to be like ultra confident and say like definitively.
Of course not.
No, but I'm saying like that was the lead in like that. I do like, I think that Devin Booker did hurt his foot.
Yeah, actually, people at the arena did too.
Like,
There's some,
I think
there's some
sometimes-
chatter.
And sometimes those injuries actually hurt worse 2 days
Yes.
later than the day of.
Yes, and I think that there is some explanation for his drop off in that. There's also the Nuggets changed their strategy, wearing him out, all this stuff. There's just little things that you chip away at. Like you're saying, can he shoot 70% or something? Maybe I'm just this is hopeful, but I don't know. I feel like the Nuggets got over on the Phoenix Suns last night in a way that was not just like, well, your turn, my turn, your turn. It was like, no, you're getting punched in the goddamn mouth here tonight. Like you're here, you're gonna understand, like, there's a difference. There are levels to this.
Right.
And that felt like there are levels to this kind of game.
Jokic in closeout games in his career, you got the Utah closeout game 7 where he went for 30 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 12 of 23. We all remember game winner. We all remember how good he was.
Yeah.
You go to the Clippers game 7, 16 points, 22 rebounds, 13 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. Just another monster game.
Monster.
You go to the next year where you go up against that Portland Trailblazers. Game 6 of the Portland series is one of my all-time favorite Jokic games. 36 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, which those numbers nowadays,
meh.
yeah, they almost seem pedestrian. But that game, if you recall, in the fourth quarter, Jokic determined it was over.
Yeah.
If you remember, that was good game, managing it. Fourth quarter, and Jokic was just hitting threes and Nurkic's, just scoring everywhere. And it was one of those ones when I'm sure if I was Portland watching that one, I'd be like, this guy's not. It's just gonna. It was like watching a slow death where you're like, yeah, he's gonna score again. Oh, here comes down the court. I'll bet you. He scored again. I don't know. I think tomorrow's a Jokic game. It's funny to say because every game's a Jokic game.
What a bold prediction.
I think every game's a Jokic. But I just wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow is the most aggressive Jokic from opening tip. And then on top of that, I do think Murray went through a full circle in this series, ramping up to where I need to score, to coming around to maybe I should let the game come to me, and here's where the spots are. And then lastly, when you talk about role players on the road, one guy who has been a role player on the road is Michael Porter. I don't think that he's going to struggle again on the road. So I don't know. I just feel there's a lot of avenues for me with Denver. Then you factor in the Booker piece of this. I will say one weird wrinkle to all of this that hasn't been discussed yet. Does Chris Paul come back?
No.
You just don't think
He's not coming back.
I think it'd be a mistake.
I know
I don't
that.
think
You
Phoenix.
know that?
Yeah, he's not coming back.
Because it hasn't been reported.
That's the word on the street.
Word on the street is he's too far out.
Yeah.
I'd
Not
also-
this series, at least.
I'd also feel good about it if they did. Like even if he could get on the floor, how good would he be? Would it slow
The
them
Suns
down?
are better without him.
Every
I
possession.
think they are, man. They play faster. They're more dynamic. They're more create. Like they
Paul-
can do more things. I feel like.
Paul can't guard anymore, really, and especially if he's hurt. But it's also just as simple as every possession that the ball is not in Booker's hands. Even Kevin Durant, I'm like, word.
Yeah.
And with Chris Paul back, he eats some of those possessions.
And just one more thing. This has got me thinking. Just the idea of Devin Booker being this transcendent player. Everyone's, this is his coming out party. Look how incredible Devin Booker is playing. He's not there every game. Jokic is there every single game.
think Booker's
you
been
can. What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, that's the that represents the actual tiers, the actual levels between transcendent, all-time superstar, all-star player, good. It's like the transcendent superstars bring it every single night.
Booker to me is as close to what you're talking about. I think you're
He's
both
close.
right here in that.
But
I
he
think
isn't.
he is there every night. It's that his bad games are just meaningfully worse than Jokic's bad games. And because you're right, he had a bad game in game 5 and he was still 48%. Like it was still a pretty good game. They just need him to be even better. But that is different than say a Murray who's bad games are oh my God, you were negative in tonight. He's not a negative. He's just not always.
No, but
the
he's not
floor
always.
of Jokic is so high.
You're right. You're right.
When you say Jokic is gonna have a good game, it's like duh. Sorry.
I have to say though, maybe not Jokic level because he's literally the best player alive, but I have gained some of this respect for Booker, specifically
too.
what we're talking about.
Sure.
I would expect him to be there in every playoff game.
To me, I have seen his ceiling raise
Yeah.
like
Totally.
significantly.
Well, his
But
ceiling,
I'm
Jesus.
also like, that's, like if it's last year and Devin Booker is Nikola Jokic, has a team where he is the centerpiece
Sure,
and has
sure.
like that team. Not only are they not making it out of the first round, it's not no game is close.
Yeah. When we got one more ad break,
Yes.
let's hit it. We got super chats, and then I am going to ask one more question about the rotation.
What?
Staggering.
Peyton Watson.
The American Raptors of Infinity Park. Tickets for the American Raptors, just $10. Children 12 and under are free. You can't make it. They stream all their games on ESPN Plus as well. Also, be sure to stop by the DNVR Bar May 27th for the team's season finale watch party. They take on the Cobras Brazil at 12 p.m. See you in Rugby Town, USA. Tickets just $10. Children 12 and under are free. Check out the DNVR Rugby Podcast. Subscribe to that as well. The American Raptors of Infinity Park. Fun for the whole family. Shady Rays take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays, they've got you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Look, you guys probably have bought sunglasses in the past, probably expensive. They probably break. You don't have to worry about that with Shady Rays. Shady Rays is affordable, and if you break your shades or lose your pair even on day one, they told us they'll send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. This is exclusively for our listeners. Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the code DNVR. Get 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try yourself the shades, rated 5 stars by 250,000 people.
There you go. Real quick, do you have the video of the perfect swish, Kale? Let's listen to
this
it.
thing is
Turn the volume up.
weird. 6 to midnight. Listen to this. I told you.
Dude, it's like a cannonball, like hitting
told
the
you.
water line.
I told you.
I love Michael Porter, man. I really do.
He's not there yet, but the best version of him offensively, he's going to be one of those guys where his shots feel like they're worth an extra half point.
They already do. Are you kidding me?
know,
Are you First of all, they are. This is the thing. A Porter quarter always. Has he ever had a Porter quarter and a quarter the Nuggets lost? Honest question.
No way.
I don't know if anyone can research this, but I would guess no.
But he's
Absolutely
got that
not.
deflating, like you play a great defensive possession, then he hits a three, and you're just like, oh, shit.
All right, let's get to some super chats.
Charlie Anderson, Mr. Anderson. The refs did their best, but they just couldn't get the Suns back into that one.
I mean, I feel crazy. I don't feel that. I really don't.
Every series in the history of playoff series, both teams think they're getting a bad one.
Yeah.
But hey, if you want to pay to
But the
complain
Nuggets
about
are
their-
getting a bad one. I'm kidding.
Drewby, happy birthday, Brendan. Thanks for all the great content, and here's to another year. Jeevely, my friend. Thank
Jeevely.
you. Thank you kindly. Connor Pasica, I'm going to be so anxious for this game. LFG. Yes, but how different is it? 3-2 from 2-2.
It's exciting, anxious versus
Yeah.
terror.
You
Oh, it's
can
so
lose
true.
this
White hot
one.
terror.
You can lose this one, but also you,
You
could
can
win it.
You can win it, man.
Gail
It's going to be an
Monfils.
incredible show if it happens, though.
It's been so nice.
We're all
to,
here for it, too. You know what?
I
Dev's
know.
going out to Phoenix.
dude. How lit is that? That feels right. That feels like who would be there if they closed it out.
Oh yeah, bottle service Dev, absolutely.
I think this says Gail
Scottsdale Dev.
Monfils.
Devsdale.
Riot House Dev.
It's been so nice to watch on YouTube. NBA analysts backpedaling on Jokic, i.e. Nick Wright. Man, this sleepless night might have been joyful. D-line Jokic. By the
D-line
way,
equals Jokic?
Whoa.
Wow.
Easy there.
I will say, man, Nick Wright has been. I don't know if you've caught the clips.
No.
I'm convinced nobody actually watches the Nick Wright show. They just
don't.
see
They
the
don't.
clip.
It's
The
only
clips
clips,
just come
correct.
through.
I woke up this morning and I didn't turn on his show. I just like waited on the timeline for the clips
the
to start
clips to
rolling,
come
and I
in.
would never watch the goddamn show.
He's so good. I honestly have an appreciation for Nick Wright. I don't love that style of coverage.
I don't,
The hot taking,
for the
but I
record.
do have an appreciation for the ones who are good at it. he has been doing the thing where he's setting himself up for the backtrack.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
been, you know what I mean? Like he's all like, Nicola's been incredible. It's the best. The Nuggets look like a real team. Like he's
And if you listen closely to what I said before,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't.
The greatest thing is he's like, a lot of people are going to start miscategorizing the things I've said in the past. They're like, all of them were recorded.
Guess what?
We have them
Guess
verbatim.
what? No more room in the club. You missed the boat.
Oh,
All
yeah,
right,
he's not in
Gail.
the club.
Also watch PHNX Sport from start to finish. Devil face.
Give us honestly, that helps us too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Give
Yeah,
us the numbers, baby.
Tyler Peters, have the Nuggets considered dressing in dinosaur costumes as a defensive game plan for Booker? Jack White should do that in Phoenix.
That's hilarious.
I hate that Rocky hasn't incited Devin Booker in some way.
Yeah, you're right.
That seems like the absolute territory of Rocky. That is what Rocky is for.
Maybe he's waiting for Game 7.
And we can end this Nugget show the same way we end every Nugget show, with a super chat from a Celtics fan. All right, Vogt, this is probably my last time gassing my Celtics up. I don't know what last night was. This is the best birthday ever. It was ugly, but I die with my team, so Celtics in 7.
Well,
Did you guys?
RIP.
Did you
I know.
guys
Is that
hear,
what you're saying? Are you saying we won't hear from you again because you're going to die?
Do you guys? Oh, go ahead.
Did you guys hear Simmons and KOC today yet? Because they touch all the playoffs.
I skipped that part of the
Boston part of it.
podcast.
Let me give you the highlight.
Low
Let me give you the
Shout out
highlight.
I listened to the Nuggets
KOC
part.
voted Christian Brown second team all rookie. Shout out
Hey, KOC
my guy Kevin
Is he,
O'Connor.
is he feeding all of the agendas?
No, because I will say this. KOC really good on a lot of these agendas. A little lower on Yoke, though.
Here's
He's
the
high on
highlight,
Christian
though.
Brown, so he's good for me.
Here's
He
the
was
highlight.
appalled that Jokic came in number 1 on the power rankings. In his own
Bill's
company.
talking about how amazing Jokic is and how great Devin Booker is, but how Jokic, like you said, never generates a bad possession, in full control. And the guy, when you just start to talk about those 1A guys, you have to wonder, Tatum, is he 1B? Is he 1B? He might be.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. You love to see it. I will say, do you guys care more? Would you rather the 76ers or Celtics win at this point? Do you have a preference?
76ers for sure.
I want the Celtics to win. I don't want Joel Embiid to make it out of the second round.
This is me too. This is why I'm so petty that I
Have
just
you guys
want.
not been fighting online all year? Where have you been?
I mean, I just want a Nuggets 76ers.
I do
The
too.
narrative gods are lining up to quote
Like,
Matt
that's
Miller.
what we're
Let's
gonna
settle
get.
this,
I mean, I would prefer that just
It is funnier though to be like, man,
Totally.
make it to the conference finals, then we'll talk.
Yeah,
I want.
that would be fun.
This is my sincere wish: is that Joel Embiid has now entered the absolute spotlight. There is a difference between being the starting quarterback and the backup quarterback, like the bride versus the bridesmaid. He is now the MVP, which means he is open to the criticism that Nikola Jokic has been enjoying for the last 2 years. He is open to the same ludicrous and ridiculous talking points that he deserves to get, because apparently that's what happens when you're the MVP. So he needs to hear
You just
like
make up shit about.
he needs to hear like, oh, he can't get out in the second round. Oh, we blah, 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 all of these things where you're like, oh, did we want this?
Yeah,
Did we want this?
it would be an incredible story. Lastly, before we get out of there, and you can hit that outro music, Kale. But before we get out of here, no adjustments from personnel, 8-man rotation. I mean, I doubt that changes in Game 6 now. Like, if you weren't going to do it in Game 5. But the question I'll ask more broadly, are we getting more than 8 players at any point?
If the Western Conference Finals goes poorly enough in the first 2 games, I think.
So it's more of a disaster. We'll make an adjustment,
Yes.
not anything, and not anything short of that. No.
If they're winning, he's not going to change it.
No chance.
But I do think,
If it goes 1-1, then 1-1.
what do you think, Win? You have a better read on this stuff.
I'll say this, man. I'm not convinced like Peyton Watson was not in the rotation last
What
night.
happened? Yeah, you tweeted it out. You juked
Peyton
us.
Watson, during a timeout, took off his warm-up and was in a Nuggets huddle talking with coaches like he was about to go in the game. Then the timeout ended. He did not sub into the game. It was very interesting. But looking back, I actually think it was the right call to not switch things up last night.
I said that, if you remember, at the end of the first quarter, the Nuggets were up 15 points. Murray got blocked by KD. KD scored, or they scored. Then Murray had a turnover, so I'll have to go back and watch. Another empty possession, they scored. It went from 15 to 11. And I kind of wonder if at 15 you put him in, and at 11 you don't.
I think he was about to go in, and then something happened where he didn't.
To me, it is that they're doing well. It's like if they had not come out and just like punched Phoenix in the mouth to start off with and got to the league, I think they would have been like, okay, let's. But they were like, he's like, F it. You know, it's all this, everything I'm touching is working. So why would I change anything?
I just think 11 is a number you can come back on.
Possible.
That's why, and they did actually take the lead in the second quarter, whereas 15, maybe a little bit less so. I don't know. I do think we ultimately eventually see some other players in this, but I think you're right. Unfortunately, I think it's going to come in losses that maybe could have been prevented, but maybe not. No one knows. We'll
Sometimes
complain
you
about
lose
them.
in the playoffs too, man.
Sometimes you just lose
I think
in
they
the
were mad
playoffs.
about rotations and losses that haven't happened yet.
Because
It's the only thing we can complain about.
all right, everybody, that does it for today. Thanks for joining us. Guess what? Tomorrow, a chance to close out the Phoenix Suns. Game 6. We're going to be right back here. You guys know it. Hit the like button on the way out.
Let's go.